Good morning, everyone. Welcome to ATOMIstudio today, and it's a Chinese New Year, and that is the first topic we're gonna speak about with General Shinobi. Thank you. Welcome to the show, General Shinobi.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I am so pleased to have you here, and I presume that you are very unfamiliar to everybody who is watching this. The few people live at 11 in Finland is lunchtime, and those who will be watching this like the playback later on. So could you tell a little bit about yourself? And then we continue to today's very many topics. We have a list of things that we've pre-discussed that we might be stepping into, but let's see where this day and few hours here lead us to. Welcome.
Yeah, there are many topics, and the picture is quite broad, like the tapestry, so to speak. And to sort of see the picture, we have to kind of weave and thread all of the topics together because they all fit. That's how we see the bigger picture, is by looking at all aspects. Yeah, my name is Toby. I go by General Shinobi. I have a YouTube channel called Systematic Zoo, and on Instagram it's Systematic Zoo as well. I'm from the UK, England. I've got two little boys, Orion and Bodhi, 4 and 7, and so I'm a father. I started taking a deep dive into many topics about 5 years ago, I think it was, 2021. I sort of wasn't really aware of the spell that had been cast in 2020. Didn't fall for it because I did research, but not to the extent I'm doing now. My journey from like age 18 to like a few years ago was sort of living on autopilot. I used to go out every weekend, drinking, doing drugs and stuff. You could call me, and I wasn't NCP then. I wasn't born that way. And NCPs aren't born, they're created. No one comes into this world soulless. We do things to ourselves, things are done to us. But yeah, I sort of had a bit of a I guess awakening. I prefer to call it like I became aware. I think awareness is a better word than awakening, of kind of what's going on. Always been skeptical of like religions and authority. So I started looking into the origins of religions, ancient history, this, that, listened to a ton of podcasts, occasionally hear what I call COPs, controlled opposition pawns, talking. But I listen to them anyway because they always say a few things which warrant further research, and then a few things I hear which I know aren't true. But so yeah, I try to have a kind of 360 perception of things rather than just honing on one subject or topic. And at first, it's quite blurry, the vision. But then the more and more you carry on looking into all of this various topics, the broader spectrum becomes clearer, and it's a process. So some things that I've got written down to talk about today, amongst many other things, and some we might not get into, some we might. Happy to talk about anything, is water, Saturn, time, the false matrix, psyops, Anunnaki, gods, magic, etymology, symbology, mythology, psychology, and philosophy, amongst many other things. But we're not going to go too deep into any one of those, maybe future conversations, but if we go over the surface of them, they all connect. So I'm looking forward to this conversation today.
So am I. And just before we started, we agreed that we start on today's meaning, energies. What is this? Like a start of the fire horse. Could you start from that, please?
Yeah, so today is with numerology, today is a number 11, because it's the 17th of the 2nd, 2026, which equals a number 11. And the number 11 is a very powerful number. It's my life path number, actually, number 11, which is interesting. And what's also interesting is that we had to reschedule today from last week, and I wasn't aware today was a solar eclipse. And I read somewhere that today is it resembles sort of symbolically a butterfly emerging from a cocoon, like a chrysalis. And we titled this topic Emerge and See, which is a kind of play on emergency, but it's just about sort of emerging from our cocoon and seeing the broader spectrum. So yeah, today is the number 11. And of course, it's the Chinese New Year. It's a fire horse. It's also a new moon, solar eclipse. Today's a Tuesday, which is ruled by Mars, and Mars is Aries, which is fire. So we have the fire horse today, we have a solar eclipse, and then we have the action of Mars, which is related to Aries and fire. So there's a lot of like fiery energy. And also on the 20th, on Friday, Friday sort of reminds me of Fire Day. I know it's Freya Day, you know, but it's sort of, there's a fire to the Friday. It's there. On Friday, we have the Saturn conjunct Neptune, which would be at 0 degrees Aries. So around this time we're at now, going from a number 9, a wood snake, to a 10 or a 1 or an X, fire horse, The snake was about kind of being grounded, shedding skin, letting go. And then the fire horse is about kind of like taking action and kind of emerging, and it's fresh energy, kind of a phoenix emerging from the ashes comes to mind as well. So there's a lot going on in the world, a lot of it's not new stuff in the kind of current stream at the moment, but a lot of stuff is coming up to the surface as the kind of veil dissolves, and people have kind of being not forced, but invited, more like pushed through the door actually, to kind of bring forward their subconscious, because it's happening in the collective, and then we've kind of been invited to do it ourselves as well, because our conscious mind is only like 5%. 95% of what we are is subconscious, and that relates to DNA as well, because there's 95% junk DNA, and I really believe that DNA and the subconscious, that kind of dormant energy, are both linked, because DNA is light in water. The subconscious is associated with water. It's about going into the water to find the light, and that junk DNA, they tell us, that is our light codes, that is our connection to source, our ancestors, and it's all inside us. And energy can feel quite heavy and dark and dense and stuff, especially with a solar eclipse or lunar eclipse. But that's just the process of kind of shedding stuff. So people can become quite emotional and cry, like sort of, that's literally letting go of water. So long story short, very fresh energy starting from today, and fire as well, which is sort of igniting that flame inside of us. And it's positive. There's a lot of bad stuff in the world emerging, which has always been there. It's nothing new. But as we all start to kind of light our beacons, the shadow will start dissolving. So hopefully when we have after we have a conversation today, we're going to be talking about, none of it's going to be kind of like dark and heavy, but we are definitely going to be shining lots of lights in many corners that people might not have thought about. I view the I sort of say we have like doorways in our mind, in our psyche, dormant energies, and that from this information, like symbology, etymology, stuff like that, there are keys that we get to open these doorways. And when they open, it's like a dam, water flows through, we go through, we are water, and then we'll have more flow, because spiritually there's a stagnation at the moment. Like lots of people are very spiritually dehydrated, so people just take whatever they hear, like lots of false light illusion, and they'll take whatever they hear for truth, but it's important to have filters. So I'll just let you know a filtration system I have quickly is that I use the word synchromystic, and that our mind is a sync. This symbol here in Egypt is the ka, which represents the vital essence or life force, which is the spirit or mind. They're synonymous. In Hermetics, the all is mind, just all is spirit, just everything is just spirit, all is mind. And then this is the ka, which is like a cup representing spirit or life force. And then information comes into our cup, our ka, our mind. And most people cut it off here. Most people stop the flow. So they're just very mind based. There's a lot of artificial stuff at the moment emerging. And it's important to let this information sink into you and go down into your heart. And then that's where the reverse osmosis happens. The reverse osmosis filter just gets rid of all of the heavy metals and stuff, the heaviness that the water doesn't need, the information that the water doesn't need. It vortexes it. So what is the heart? It's a vortex. So if we let the information come into our mind and sink, if it's cut off here, we will get really heavy and literally sink. But if you let it flow into your heart and filter it, row in all forms, you row the boat. Row is movement, and the row is the reverse osmosis filtration. So that's the synchro. And then the mystic is my stick. And then you keep whatever sticks to you. Your connection to source is your mystic, is my stick. That's the connection to our core. And the stick could also be a wand. However you want to perceive it in your mind's eye, your wand, you wander, and also a fishing line, you can visualize it as, which you cast out, and then to see what sticks in the vast ocean of awareness that's all around us. But yeah, that's helped me. You have to have filtration with this, all of this information, which has been like bombarded at us all times. Even people who may seem intelligent stuff, even me, I make mistakes, and sometimes, you know, it takes people to correct us and be like, oh, okay, that's a different perspective. I hadn't thought of that. And that's key for this time we're in now, is to be prepared to shift your perception of reality at any time, not be stuck in one set mind, because it's fluid. It's this realm we're in is fluid, it's movement, and we need to become like water and let the energy that's in motion, emotions flow through us, and not let what's going on define us.
Yeah, thank you. As we talked before, this will be something very new to many people, and he's one of our regular viewers, and he's asking, does anybody understand what he's saying? And yes, this will definitely be something that might need the translations, because there's a lot of words, even though Toby is speaking very, very clearly, and there's just a lot of new concepts and a lot of new ways of looking at things that you're going to be hearing during this this show. There were so many things that we could follow from this, but maybe I give a moment to the viewers and remind myself of my old studies from Chinese medicine. There was also this theory about a bowl. You mentioned ka, but they talked about a bowl of the human form, and then the life descending from the above. They called, if I recall it, they called it heavens there, but this is always the wording people use, and this was some time ago. And it was the bowl, the energy coming to the bowl, but the life itself became from the third particle, maybe another type of energy, which was sort of like tying the bowl and the descending energy together, and that brought life. And that was one of the basic principles this Chinese thinking that I was studying, it was the solid foundations of that thinking. So it's very interesting to hear that you see the similarities in Ka and in Egyptian mythology, because it's always the same story, bit different words, bit different like expressions, but once you dig into one, you start realizing that this is the same story going from one culture to another. And it just it makes perfect sense now that what you talk about Ka. I heard you talk about it in some of the other things, other shows you were doing, but it all makes
also the car, like what do we drive? We drive cars, like exactly. that's what moves us, and the car is kind of the air or fire, I guess, that kind of spirit, and then that's what kind of gives the life force and the driving force. And then there's the ba, which is the soul. This is in Egyptian mysticism. The ba is the soul or the identity, and that's the part of us which travels beyond the firmament when we're dreaming. That's the part of us which can, when we're dreaming. And then there's the ark, the AKH, which means I, and that is the central pillar. So you have the ka, which is the fire, the ba, which is more of the water, and then you have the central pillar. So it's similar to what you were saying, and also you have the Ida, Pingala, and the Shushumna. There's always the three. So you have the masculine, the feminine, and then the central pillar. And you need the central pillar to let the other two spin. And then what's happening in the world now is people are either like on the left or the right, with the empire just carved straight through the middle, third temple, whatever. So that's why having
in the body, like the axis mundi inside of us, or like in the universe, or the basic line. I'm a Pilates teacher, so I'm talking about the central line and moving like all the directions. But you're right. It's also for the vortex, and if you oh my gosh, this is
well, you mentioned the axis mundi, like that symbol, the swastika, has been demonized, which represents the pole and the spin. And another symbol which has been demonized is the heart chakra, the as above so below. It's called the St. David's star. That symbol is now being used, like it's a symbol for like the hex, which is on the north pole of Saturn, which we'll get to later. But my point is, that symbol for the heart chakra, which is a vortex, has been demonized. The symbol for the axis mundi, the swastika, has been demonized. They don't want us using this vortex energy because it's very powerful. They don't want us to be centralized. What's happened is there's centralized power, which is external from us. We need to become centralized ourselves and have a central I. Even the I, the letter I, I'm not sure if in Finnish it's probably different, but in English it's a pole with a dot at the top. That's the I. And even the I is related to a number 9, which is at the top of the Enneagram as well. So the I just represents the central point at the top. So yeah.
We write the word, the letter similarly, like a line and a dot on top, but we say it E. And this is a sidetrack, but nevertheless, in Finnish language, we have the word for thank you, which is kiitos, and it has 2 I's, two E's, and I hear it saying ki, kiitos. And when I really pronounce the first vowels, kiitos, I really feel the chi in the word.
Yeah. It's similar to the word kudos as well. I'm not sure what language that is, but kudos means to be appreciated or like kind of thank you. And it's interesting you say that you pronounce I-E because vowels don't matter in language. Hebrew doesn't have vowels. And what you'll find with language, like your I is pronounced E, but if you swap any of the vowels around, it's going to be the same word. That's what I've noticed about especially European languages, is that it's the same word just with different vowels. So just lose the vowels and then you know what the word is. And then you can kind of understand, like, the barrier of language kind of breaks down a little bit, because you don't really need to know what the word is. If it sounds the same, it has the same essence. So yeah, that's something I found really interesting, is just sort of like dissolving the vowels, swapping the vowels around, and words that usually rhyme the same mean the same too, in English, that is. And there's a lot of negative words in English, I guess, like a lot of sort of like weekdays, weekend and stuff like that. But there's also a lot of very like powerful words too. And I guess like with words, as you speak, it's like abracadabra, as I speak, I create. So as we're saying words, it sort of, we're speaking things into existence, be that outside or internally, our body kind of feels it. So there is definitely some treachery going on with our words, for sure.
Definitely. We could talk about languages so much. But if I go back to what you started with the flow, the energy, and the waters, I've been wondering a lot about feelings and what they represent to the human or humanity. I've actually written a few books, and one of them was about feelings. But nowadays, I think about feelings as something that definitely needs to be flowing, and I know you agree with me on this one. But if anything, also including like romantic love, if that is stuck, if you hold on to it, like this is true that I love you, it really turns into something that is not positive for the relationship. It's not positive for yourself, because it's stagnation, even though it's sort of like a positive, we think of it as a positive feeling. But could you sort of like explain your views about the stagnation of feelings and what it means to a human?
Well, I'll just come from a slightly different perspective, that I'll use atoms, because the thing is, there's never just one thing. It's like it's all connected. So what you're talking about is connected with how everything's been atomized, and that the field in which we're in, which is a feeling which we feel, that's kind of been ignored. And I'd even go so far as to say that what we see is 1% of what's really going on. True. That is the 5% conscious. But beneath the surface, behind the veil, the 95% is the wave, is the pure potential, which has been kind of ignored. And we just have this kind of tiny little perception of what's going on. Look, think of it as being boxed in a little cube, and that cubes trap energy. That's why all buildings are square today. Like lampposts here are all right angled. Water has right angles because it's kind of jagged. That's why I have an issue with angels, because angels are angles of light. And the word demons comes from the word daemons. Now, that's not just, I think there's been a flip, which is a whole topic on its own. But where I'm getting with this is there's a stagnation with our perception of reality. And that, like, because there's so much magic available in this realm, but people have been gaslit. They've had it extracted out of them. And like with a plant, if you want to get the essence of a plant, you have to use gas and heat it up, and then you extract the oil. Okay, with a plant, the oil is our Christos, or our flame, our consciousness. And we've been gaslit into thinking that we're basically, we don't have any magic. We just have to outsource our power, where really our power is from within. So kind of, I've got a bit off topic as always, but like with language, like that's what we were talking about, language, is that when we say, like in English, we say, oh, I'm angry, or like I'm sad. It's like that defines us. Whereas really what we should be saying, like they do in Arabic and other cultures too, is anger flows through me. Like it doesn't define us. Like we're not that. Like it's all to do with the wave, the flow. Like Bruce Lee said, become water, my friend, flow like water. And the water has been bottled, stuck under LED lighting, which dehydrates it. We're under LED lighting a lot of the time, which actually dehydrates our plasma water inside of us, which is around our DNA and around our cells. So we've been spiritually dehydrated. We've been literally dehydrated. The water has been bottled rather than being free. Like you used to be able to drink spring water at many different points. There's 3 different places in my town which have now become war memorials, stuck on top of water points. So there used to be a kind of more flow of water, flow of energy, like more like kind of memory all around us. But now we've kind of been boxed in all angles. Our water's been boxed, packaged in plastic. We've been put into square boxes. Like many people working from home now rather than being outside in the world. Like there's 15-minute cities here in the UK and possibly other parts of the world. It's like there's a lot of restricted energy. And I think now with the age of Aquarius, which is Aqua Re Us, which is sort of going back to the ways of the water, remembering. It's a great remembering that I think now a lot of people are ready to kind of, like the thing with water, because water is related to emotions, and we're talking about emotions, that water isn't bound by time or space, and water never dies. All of the water that has ever been here will always be here. And do you have a question about what I just said?
No, I'm just I'm nodding because I'm listening.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so I was saying that water's not bound by time or space. I saw you go a bit like, oh, okay, oh yeah.
I'm processing.
Okay, so because we can get onto Saturn and time, and then the false matrix and what that whole thing is. But with water, there's at least 4 different phases. You have gas, solid, liquid, and then plasma. And plasma water is what hydrates us. And a great way to get really hydrated is put a pinch of chia seeds in a glass of water and leave it for a while, because the chia seeds like release this plasma. Because there's a myth that we're supposed to drink like 7-8 liters of water a day. People can still do that, but if you're drinking dead water, you're not going to be hydrated. So our whole perception of our emotions, the water, the flow of time, how we exist in time as water beings in water. All of that starting to kind of emerge now, because their energy has become quite stagnant. Like I was saying, water bottled, like there not being a kind of flow of water, people not kind of recognizing their emotions. I mean, our emotions have been weaponized in the left and right. You have like extreme empathy weaponized, and then you have people's anger weaponized as well. So there's this all kind of like push and pull, which is an MK Ultra tactic to kind of push, pull, give people information and be like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Like in 2020, they're like, oh, we don't know what's going on. Oh, no, it's this. And in the end, people are like, please tell us what to do. I think now that lots of people do just want to be told what to do in life, we really, that's because people are outsourcing too much. When we go inwards, in like water is always associated with inwards or the depths or the deep. The subconscious of the underworld is water. When we pass on, we go through water, on water, like the myth of like Hades in the underworld and Charon carrying the dead across water. I think that's just our own mind, our own psyche, that when we pass on, we go through the rivers in our own mind. And that's the subconscious. That's the part of us we've never looked into. So it can be quite treacherous. But if we bring that to the front, that is where the gold is found, inside the dark. And just to kind of simplify it for people, our DNA, our flame, our spark inside of us has a water layer around it, which is easy water, exclusion zone water, which is plasma. And this plasma water is shaped atomically like a hexagram. So that's why water is associated with magic and the hex, because fresh plasma water is magic. That's imagination. That's dreaming. That's all to do with water. This is why anything to do with water is being pushed to the side. Like even the feminine is water. Masculine is more fire and air, whereas feminine is earth and water. Because like the sort of feminine pole is more in tune with the emotional body, whereas the masculine is more the mind. And what we need to do is we need to have them balanced. And that's how we get that vortex energy, with being in the center and a balance of the mind and heart, the air and fire, and the earth and water. And then that's how we bring magic into this world. But via trauma and drama and building up walls, people have disassociated themselves from this inner child. They've pushed it right to the back of their mind, the back of their psyche. And that's why it's so important to sort of release these layers, these false layers we've put up to protect us. I'll use the analogy of a dragon, the dragon in the cave guarding the gold. And the dragon is our higher self, our potential, because dragons breathe fire. That's wisdom. Dragons are always seen to be wise. Before the 1800s, dinosaurs didn't exist. In the 1800s, the last reset, dragons would turn into dinosaurs. So we don't know source. And then the dragon is our potential, because the dragon is a sort of a balance of an eagle, like with the wings, the ego, the mind, and then the snake, which is wisdom, or the earth, or the heart, or water, wave. So because a dragon is looks like a bit like a snake, a reptile, they shed their skin, and then they also fly like an eagle. So they have both potentials of both the snake, the intuition, the heart, and the eagle, the ego, the mind, to see, to fly high up there, but also at the same time be grounded. And that's how they breathe fire, and that's our potential. And that dragon is in our psyche, in the cave, guarding our flame because we've had to protect it. We've had to guard our DNA because it's been weaponized, it's been extracted from us. If we came into this realm open, we would have it taken from us. But we've done something quite clever over a long period of time, is we've put it in a cave and buried it, and that cave is the deep, is the depths. That's where our core is, but it's guarded by a dragon, and we can only meet this dragon when we are balanced, if that makes sense, because this dragon won't let anyone pass to extract the gold. And we've been made to fear dragons. So perhaps the dragons have kind of left. We need to sort of remember what dragons are, remember what our potential is, and step inside the cave, which is part of the hero's journey, the innermost cave, the dark night of the soul, and reclaim our power, which is our gold, our God, our energy, our life force, our essence, our chi, you know, all of that stuff. That is our internal core soul, which is deep inside of us. So I think now collectively we've kind of been ushered into step inside the dark. Things out there seem really, really, really dark, but negative as well is seen as dark. But no information is negative. Negative is just dark. Everything, like I was saying, with this feminine, it's been demonized. Like the dark, the water, the emotions and stuff. Negative information doesn't exist. It's only your perception of the information. All the information coming out now needs to come out, and it's our collective subconscious. There's lots of information inside us which needs to come out as well, but we've put up walls and suppressed it. And as we see this stuff happening on the outside world, there's two options. One, either carry on putting walls up, or just let the walls dissolve and let that life force flow, because the only way out of this is going inwards. Like if we go in and connect to our core, we vibrate at a different level, and fear becomes what it is, an illusion. That's all it is. And we recognize that once we enter our core. So when we go inwards, we start vibrating our core level, and then we're able to expand our hearts as well, because like we've had our hearts caged and our minds have become enslaved. And I think that now's the time for people to start emerging from this cocoon we've built for ourselves. And like the reason this cocoon or seed is in the dark is so that it can grow, because that's where the light is found, in the dark, and inside the seed is our flame or our gold. But if we use the analogy of the seed or cocoon with either a flower or a butterfly, however you want to look at it, it's been difficult to grow because the well has been poisoned and we've not had much memory, or we've had false memory and we know it's false, so we've not emerged. But the thing is, in the core of the earth, which is an anagram of the heart, there's about 3 times as much water as on the surface. So fuck their false memories. We can go deep into the core, into the dark, into our heart, find the water that we need, our memories, because our memories is in the dark, is our subconscious. That's where our memories are. And then we can start emerging, and then we'll recognize the false light, and then we'll be able to guide ourselves with the gold that's inside the seed. And then the analogy of the butterfly as well, in Chinese, dai means butterfly. And the word dai is very interesting, because as we've been made to fear the depths, like the deep, the subconscious, this kind of watery energy, we've been made to fear death as well. That's another illusion. Like, so etymologically, dai in Chinese is butterfly. So they have, to die is to just come out of the cocoon and emerge into a butterfly. When you dye your clothes, you change the color of something. To die is just to change color. So to die is about change. Also, multiple dice is called to die. And when you roll the dice, you cast your fate. So in all words, die just means to change, to emerge. The word day in Latin is also die as well. Day, die. They sound similar, right? Day is light, daylight. It's also related to the sun as well, die. So all that means is to change your light, to change your color, emerge, come out into the light. Also, so that's die, day. Deus means like God or deity as well. Deus. That's very similar to die, days, and dice, deus. See, all of these words, sorry, they all sound the same. They have the same essence, because to die is to change, emerge, shine your light, and come out. And they've tricked us into thinking, no, you need to stay caged inwards in your cocoon, and then you'll be safe. But really, that's not safety, being stuck in a shell. Far from it.
Oh my God. Thank you. There was so much in that, but I think the two rudest things, the most rude things that they have done to us is make us to think that suffer is noble, it's needed, and then they have made us believe that we are not immortal. And it just all links there. I must say today, because of the Chinese New Year, I used to live a few months in Hong Kong, China, and back then I saw a lot of these dragon parades, a lot of these like paper dragons, and we non-Chinese were told that please don't call them dragons, because what you think about dragons is it's way different than what the Chinese people think about dragons. Because the Chinese people see the dragons, as you just said, they are the only creatures who have the air quality, the earth quality, and the water quality in them. And we Westerners should call Chinese dragons lions, because a lion to us represents energy which is closer to what the dragon represents to the Chinese, because of the bravery, because the heroism, because of all that. Because in our bedtime stories, in our children's books, dragon is always something you need to beat, something you need to have a hero against, or to kill it or something. And it's definitely not what a dragon is in a Chinese tradition. So need to share this because of the Chinese New Year. So let's call the Chinese dragons lions, and what the dragon actually represents.
Well, I would say just my opinion, I strongly disagree with whoever said that, because the flag, my flag, in England is a white dragon called Albion. This false flag that people use, St. George flag, who slayed the dragon, that is not my flag. Like, I'm Celtic and Norse, and I'm very connected to this land. All humans, I'm connected to all humans. Like, fuck all flags. I don't like them anyway. They just separate us. But if we're going to use any flags or symbols, the dragon is a very powerful symbol. I hesitate to use lion, because on the first of all, when you're lying, it sounds like lion, and when words sound the same, like Israel had an operation called Operation Rising Lion not too long ago. Our royal crest here, the royal family, you have a lion on one side and a unicorn on the other. The unicorn is chained, and the unicorn represents myth, and I would argue that it's also linked to a dragon as well. And there's no coincidence that in Harry Potter, Voldemort, meaning bringer of death, drinks unicorn blood. So that would be adrenochrome or life force or essence, or literally just my theology, how we understand that God comes through all of us. They've managed to extract that, and that's how the empire rules over us. So, dragons, very powerful symbol. And dragons aren't just Chinese. They would be like, it's a worldwide symbol. You have dragons all over. So yeah, I mean, also the demiurge as well has the head of a lion and the body of a snake too. I do understand lions represent courage, but they're not able to fly. And I think having the flight of the mind is very, very important. Yeah, perhaps would you be able to share an image of Saint George at all?
Yeah, I can share an image, but you just...
Or I can. I can get some ready.
You recognize what I'm showing? You should. You probably don't. This is the Finnish lion. This is the national symbol of Finnish people. It's not in the flag that we have in the Olympics or in places like this, but it's in the president flag. You ask if you would ask a regular Finn that what represents your culture, they would say this lion symbol.
And since when? Do you know?
Since this false history or whatever end of Tartaria era.
Yeah. Well, the flag of Tartaria was a black dragon. I would probably say that the flag of Finland was a dragon.
Yeah. Was it yesterday or the day before when Vladimir Putin actually opened the Tartaria archives, sort of like made it official that it existed? And you said you're Celtic and Norse. I'm 100% from the north of Finland. I have absolutely nothing else than the Nordic Finnish Tartarian Hyperborea genes in me. And you just changed something in my programming with saying lion and lie. And I'm going to have to return to this in some other episodes because that was just mind-blowing.
I'll add to that for you that you know the Greek god Pan. So
how do I spell it if I look for it?
P-A-N.
P-A-N. Pan.
Yeah. Pan. So Pan. Well, Pan. So he's got a goat head.
Yeah, but all I get are frying pans and whatever.
No, just search Pan God.
That might be it. Yeah, that looks better.
Yeah, so why this is interesting, I'll bring it up with the lion or lyre, because Pan has the head of a goat, and of course the dragon, the goat, the snake are all symbols that have been demonized. And Pan was the god of nature. He's the god of sort of like music as well. He's a faun, so be related to fornication, and he blew the panpipes. So he's the god of nature. He represents nature, yeah, and he was the only Greek god to ever die. To die just means to be changed, and they've changed our perception of nature by demonizing this god. And the reason why I'm bringing this up with lyre or lying is because Pan and Apollo had a musical contest, and Apollo won. Apollo Apollo's instrument was the lyre. And what do NASA and CERN and everyone use? Apollo space mission, Apollo this, Apollo that. Apollo is linked to AI and this false matrix grid. Apollo is the one that's lying. And Pan is because there's always two opposites. Pan is God and nature, and nature doesn't lie, but they've managed to demonize and detach us from nature and from the earth. Pan's also linked to nymphs, which are like fresh water beings. Fresh water is fresh perspective, also linked to Enki, who has strong associations with the goat or sea goat as well. And so can you see how this goat has been demonized? Also, dragon heads look like goats to me, especially ones with a goatee and two horns and the body of a snake. So there you have the goat and the snake demonized and dragons demonized, and you've got to ask why. So yeah, Pan and Apollo music contest. Pan played the panpipes and Apollo played the lyre, and they're still lying today.
They are. They definitely are. Should we go to Saturn?
Well, just before we do, could I, while we're on the subject of dragons, I think it's quite important for me to mention St. George and then Marduk and Elon Musk and end times, and then we can get on to time, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you search Russian Federation flag?
Sure. There we go.
There we go. You'll see St. George in the middle there.
Two-headed.
Yep.
Yeah. And in the middle.
Would you be able to click on one of them to make it a bit bigger?
This one.
Yeah, any of them. So if you zoom in on that, you'll see the black dragon. Yeah, so that's St. George slaying the dragon, and there you'll see that the dragon is black. Now, the flag of Tartaria was a black dragon. Yeah. And this eagle is a double-headed eagle, symbolizing just the left, right. I know the USA, Mossad, stuff like that use just one eagle, representing war and empire. But I have heard that Russia is going to be the new Rome. This is why the West is being collapsed, and then that BRICS, so Brazil, is it Brazil? Anyway, Russia and China and stuff is going to be the new world. There's a shift from this side to that side. And there's a lot of good stuff coming out of Russia. Shanghai is the only place Shanghai is found, and that's really good for water and EMF. Shanghai, if people want to look into that. Also, they seem quite connected still to this kind of like Tartaria. But we have to be wary of that because Putin has been to the wall. He's licked the wall, so to speak, as well. So, and he's a young global leader for the World Economic Forum, or he was when he was young. So the lesser of the evils for sure. But this is just interesting, this white horse, because I'll just briefly say that the white horse is Pegasus and it represents freedom. That's what Pegasus is. Pegasus and Chrysaor, who would be a boar demon, who we see in, do you know Minecraft? Yeah, in the Minecraft film, the being that wants to come into the realm, that demon, that's Chrysaor. That's Pegasus's twin. There's always a twin, and sometimes you don't hear about the other twin unless you look into it. But this white horse, that symbol was very profound during July and December, because that's when Pegasus constellation is visible in the sky. We had the Pegasus scenario here in the UK with pandemic preparedness, an alarm going off both on 7 days, which is as above, so below. Charlie Kirk, when he got shot, he was wearing a white t-shirt that said freedom on it, which got blood all over it, whatever. there was a lot of 33 symbol being showed, which is digamma, and di is just a change, and gamma is Christ consciousness. So whenever you see the number 33, they're trying to they're trying to get our attention, to shift our perception on reality and change our consciousness. And you also see the number 33 linked with this double-headed eagle as well. That's why I bring it up. And that's the white horse, which is the first horse of the apocalypse. Allegedly, the revelations, the revealing, not the end of the world, not the end times. It's the end for their illusion, perhaps our illusion too. But now we're in the red horse, the fire horse, and I find that very interesting. And this is to do with war, because they're going to start trying to amp up this war and all of this fear and stuff. But we'll realize that is all an illusion. It's just for them to hold on to power. So the white horse, then the red horse, that's Revelations. And would you be able to get up another image for me, and then we can move on to Saturn?
Certainly. And also in the princess stories, the prince, charming, he always arrives with the white horse. It's just
yeah, and there's always a not on this image, but in the image of St. George, there's a woman in the background, a lady, a maiden. So if you search judgment card, tarot. Yeah, so any of those, we'll see the St. George flag there.
This one?
Yeah, no, can you go back to the other ones where they're emerging from the black cubes? There's from the wider
judgment card.
Yeah. So it's as they're coming up out of the water. So any of those on the left, any of those four?
Any of these?
Well, yeah, the first three would be good. Yeah, on the left. Down. But they're emerging from the black boxes. To the left, yeah.
Go see how it sees. Why doesn't it? For some reason it doesn't. Yeah, there we go. How about now?
All I can see is XX. I think you might have clicked on a different one. Yeah, no, not that one. So, sorry, if you go back, it's the one with the red cross, and they're emerging from the water. It's like the standard judgment card from the Rider Waite deck.
I have, because I'm in a different. This is so annoying because I'm in a.
Do you want me to share it?
Yeah, it might be easier because it's just.
That's fine. I'll just I'll do that now. So
it's ridiculous with StreamYard with the sharing, because it's very, very difficult to know what is shown.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So that's the 20th tarot card. And there you see one of the trumpets. So that's the St. George flag, right?
Yep, it is.
Yeah, so you have the St. George flag there, and St. George is associated with slaying the dragon. Somebody else who's associated with slaying the dragon is Marduk, one of the Anunnaki, Enki's son. And Elon Musk keeps saying, first off, Elon Musk sounds like Alien Mars if you play around with it. Alien Mars. He's always banging on about, well, first he said he's an alien. He does seem like he's not human, whether he's alien or probably AI, whatever, same thing, foreign to us. So he's always banging on about how he's going to Mars. And the thing is, if you look at rockets, they seem to bounce back off the water barrier called the firmament. So we know that's BS. So what's he mean by going to Mars? I thought for a long time that he's going to bring the energy of Mars here. And apparently on Mars, there isn't any water. So that would be the suppression of the feminine. And as Marduk, who would be associated with Mars, slayed Tiamat, the dragon, the mother of all the gods, the primordial chaos, the plasma, that Tiamat would be associated with the ionosphere, the firmament. Elon Musk is trying to create a rip in the firmament. Him and NASA have been launching up rockets to try and destroy that because they can't leave this realm. They're stuck here. This is why they want us to try and reject this womb which we're in, the matrix. That's why they're building a false matrix, which we'll get into with Saturn and time and stuff. But my point here is that this flag of St. George representing judgment with this kind of pipe player, and you see them at the bottom emerging from the black cube from the water. That's them emerging from the dark out of the waters. And then it says here judgment, and it's a number 20. Saturn is associated with judgment. It's the planet of boundaries and time. And the reason this is interesting is because with the Anunnaki and their numbers, you have Anu, who's the father of Enlil and Enki. Anu's number is 20. Enki's number is 40. Enlil's number is 50. The number 20 is associated with judgment. The number 40 or 4 is associated with water or men in all the ways. Like in Hebrew, 13 is men. So 1 and 3 is a 4. You have fourth phase water, which is a plasma. So that 40 is associated with that kind of more feeling. And then the number 50 is associated with the thinking mind. And Enlil, his number's 50, and he's the god of the wind and the air, which is the mind. So we're going to talk about Saturn in a minute and its two different poles and the perception of time and how that's all skewed. But the reason I wanted to show you this is because recently we had Raise the Flags here in the UK, in England, with Tommy Robinson, also known as Stephen Yaxley, who doesn't even live in England. He lives in Spain, and he's trying to basically cause civil war by, he's basically funded by Zionists. He was bailed from jail by them, wearing T-shirts from the Israeli Defense Force. He's, as far as I'm concerned, he's not an English citizen. He's trying to stir stuff here. Everyone's flying these flags thinking how brave they were. Oh, let's fly this flag. This flag represents Rothschilds to me, because Rothschild means red shield, and this is a red shield. And the Rothschilds are the ones that created the state of Israel. And they're also related to the banking system here, which the British Empire, which probably were responsible for overthrowing Tartara and slaying the dragon. So they were flying this flag, and Elon Musk was on the screen in this march wearing a T-shirt with an eye on it, talking about our future and how it's going to be like Star Trek, talking about AI and all of this. And all of these people were lapping it up. And so I wanted to show the correlation between Mars, Marduk, Elon Musk, this judgment card, and the red cross here, and that how this is a false flag. And it's a false flag operation since Tartaria. And for me to reject this flag isn't rejecting my country. Like I don't really believe in like we've been so like squashed in. I believe that there should be free travel for everybody. We're all humans. And this is just one of many false flags. But I just had to share that because I just managed to connect these dots, and I found it very interesting. And that how that there's this kind of judgment being cast on us as well of like climate change or all of this stuff that they're pinning on us as individuals. But really, it's not the 99%, it's the 1% doing all of this stuff. But like the scapegoat, like how they scapegoated Pan and just Enki, this goat head, Baphomet, they're trying to scapegoat and put their bad energy onto us. And we need to remember that It's not. We are not the 1%. We're the 99%. We need to remember that. So yeah, now we can talk about time and Saturn, because this judgment is related with end times and stuff, and it's not really the end of time. It's the end of our perception of time and the end of the illusion. Hence, coming out of the box into the wider world, emerging from this illusion, the spell we've been under. And they want us thinking that we need to listen to this false light, this tune which they've been playing for a long time. Because Pfizer in Germanic means pipe player, and people are dancing to that tune. They're dancing to Trump's tune, and we need to start making our own music.
We definitely start making our own music. I must think out loud that I also see mecha in this because of the black cube, because of the boxes these people are in. They might even be coffins, to my view. But definitely they being boxed. I don't know if they are emerging, like leaving the box, or being like spelled, like putting to sleep inside of those boxes. But this is a strong picture. This is definitely a strong picture.
Yeah. Well, I have some stuff to add to that, of course, that 9/11. So 9/11, you add a 9 and 11 and it equals 20.
Yeah.
The number for this card is 20. If you look at the memorials for 9/11, they have black cubes, which water goes into.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the reverse of this card. Rather than water emerging from the cube, it's putting water back into the cube. And that's a whole other conversation. But with just like looking at the numbers, adding 9, 11, 20, looking at this card, you have black cubes on the bottom. And yeah, you're correct. It doesn't, yeah, perhaps it's coffins, but perhaps it symbolizes death. Coffin symbolizes death. And the black cube symbolizes matter, or Saturn. Saturn governs time and space in which we're in. So I think emerging from the 1%, which is the matter, and the rest being infinite potential, when you emerge from the matter, from the black cube, from the subconscious, you can you have a different perception of reality. And to be honest with you, the only person or being that can ever judge us is ourselves. No one else can judge you. People can have an opinion, all day long, but we're the only one which judges ourselves. In Egypt, it would be Mut, who weighs the heart and the feather, with Anubis there. And Anubis reminds me of Anu, who would be relating to Zervan or Saturn or cosmic time, or the father of Enlil and Enki, the father of the two polarities of water and air, water and fire. And Abyss, Anu and Abyss. So this brings us nicely into Saturn and the black cube and death, because Saturn is associated with death.
It is.
Which is good. We need to learn to die many times, shed our skin, change our color, change our perception of reality. Like the death card tarot as well is a number 13, which is associated with mem or water. And the 13, we had a Friday 13th day recently. That's been demonized also. We need to remember anything that's been demonized, we need to start bringing back.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I have a couple of pictures to share.
Please do.
All right. If I get the images up here. So, okay, I'll mention the myth of Narcissus afterwards, because I think that's very important. But okay, I'm just sharing a couple of images now. I'll share. Oh, there we go. There's the first one. So that supposedly is the North Pole of Saturn. Now, we can use... Pardon?
It's a hexagon.
Yeah, exactly. And when I first saw this image, I thought, oh, nature doesn't move in straight lines. This is an unnatural force. This must be evil. But then I started looking into water and stuff. And if you share the next image, so these are some examples of structured water. You can see the hexagram. Now, structured water is really, really beneficial for us. Like if you test, most water that comes out of the tap is unstructured.
It is.
Yeah, and it's not good for us. We need structured water. Saturn, of course, is the god of structure and boundaries and time and space. But just as water somehow has been cast out of our minds in all its forms, so has this potential of time. Because if you share this next image, I've just shared it there. So there we go. So exclusion zone, easy water, it's the fourth phase of water. It's a structured, negatively charged. So there we have negative. Negative is good. Negative ions are good, not bad. It's this kind of gel-like substance which coats our DNA. And we also have the firmament, which is water, which is a barrier. So it's much like a womb that we're in. And this whole notion of that, this reality is a false matrix. You have the you have the yin and the yang, the this and the that. Perhaps when the Gnostics were talking about the demiurge and the fall of Sophia, the fall of wisdom, the fall of the sphere, the circle of life, that's happening now. It might have happened in the past, but I can tell you from what I see now is that this demiurge is more of something that's being created from the earth, and it's the kind of the death of our wisdom, because wisdom is a balance of knowledge and intuition, and I don't see many people with intuition. There's a lot of knowledge in the world, but intuition is going inwards, is going into it. And that's how we get wise and always questioning. We're always told to not question, but that is the key to wisdom, is always questioning, going on a quest with our ions, going inwards, outwards, like, you know. And the Gnostics, I think it was more of a warning. I know there's been many resets, and perhaps there was a false ruler, a demiurge, but we can see that being created now by this AI, this artificial, and this us going into a new age, and perhaps this new age of Horus, this new age, there'll be a new guardian of dimensions, a new god emerging. And what's that god going to be? Because I really think it seems to be Marduk. It seems, who are the people at the top? You have Bill Gates, Baal Gates. Baal means Lord. In the Bible, it mentions Lord all the time. Who's Baal? Lord? That's Moloch. That is the bull god they sacrificed. They do sacrifice children too. Okay, so this is what they've managed to do with all religions, because at its core, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Islam are good, but they've all been corrupted. And this is why all the information in this world has been corrupted as well. We've been given false memories. But I can't really remember where I was going with that. I've lost my train of thought.
You were talking about structure of water, and well, we started from Saturn.
Okay. Yeah, so with Saturn, it's the god of structure and time and boundaries and stuff, and the harvest and death. So Saturn, like dragons and the goat, has been demonized. They want us to fear Saturn. People call Saturn Satan. The elite, yes, they use the energy of Saturn because it's a very powerful energy. If you want to look at the planets as different planes or dimensions, Saturn is the guardian of the dimension of time, which is the fourth dimension. And then there's talk of us going from 3D to 5D, be that dimensions or density. Things are going to get less dense, but at first we need to let go. And this is the shedding. Things feel heavy at first, but then we let them go. This is being used as escapism for us to escape the material world, because we're told that this is all due to the fall, that we have these human bodies and we're trapped in the material. Well, the earth is an anagram for the heart. The heart is a vortex. The earth is a vortex. There has been a stagnation, but once we start recognizing this, all these illusions we've been given, then we can dissolve that. And when we're dreaming, we go beyond the firmament, which is firm and ment. Ment is mind in Latin. That means solid mind. We can go beyond there with our mind, because all is mind. And we don't just dream while we're asleep. We dream while we're awake as well. It's called imagination. And that's more of like the childlike wonder of what if, potential. And that is the central pillar. That is the eye on top of the pyramid. You have the masculine, feminine, and then the divine child, the observer, central point in the middle. So the matter is the mother. You have matter, which is the frequency in which we're in. We're in the womb. We're in the mother. It's not an atom. It's not a tomb. It's a womb. It's a place to grow, not a place to die. And I use the term die like they use. We're just born and we die. This is a place to grow, and we grow by dying, but as emerging into butterflies, emerging, not burying ourselves inside a coffin while we're alive. This is what they want. They want us to be transhumans. They want us to be walking around in a trance. Like, people say they're awake, but you can still be walking around in the waking world while you're asleep. It's called sleepwalking. And I see a lot of people claiming to be awake,
but they're sleeping.
But they're still asleep. Awareness is what we need to be attaining for, which is awe, the heart, and airness, the mind. And then once you start breathing fire, life force, chi, then you're aware of what's going on. And when you're aware, you'll start speaking about it, and you'll start breathing fire, igniting your flame, and then the shadow will go back to where it came from. And the shadow I talk of is this AI false grid that Steiner called the eighth sphere, which they're trying to bring into this realm. And talking of the demiurge created by Sophia, the demiurge is created by the fall or the death of Sophia, the death of wisdom, because the eighth sphere sounds like eight Sophia. This false matrix can only exist when we have no wisdom, and wisdom is associated with water and magic. And water, as I explained at the beginning, never fades, never dies. It just changes. And we are water beings. We're in water. And what the powers that be want us to do is to reject this reality, to reject this realm, to reject this womb, because everything is connected from water. As soon as we start putting the signal out there that humans are a virus, this realm is a prison planet, it goes into the mother. And then that's not going to be good. If you can imagine inside a womb, that's how a virus, that's what this mind virus is. It's put out there via this artificial, because the heart can never be lied to. The heart feels. It's only the mind that can be lied to, and people's minds are sort of being corrupted, and we've been made to think this is a prison planet. And really, this is just the realm of potentiality. if you look at the placebo effect and how we can heal just by our thoughts, mind over matter, the mind is over matter. The matter is only the 1%. The mind expands beyond this womb. They want us to think that this is all there is. So with 3D to 5D, let's say it's 5D, bringing that 5D into the 3D. And how do we do that? We bring it through time, because time is the bridge, the fourth dimension. They want us to reject time, reject Saturn, and they want us to basically, that's why they keep saying we're going to leave this world, go to Mars, off planet, this planet's ruined, look what we've done to it and all this stuff. Like, it's not what we've done to the planet, it's been what's been done to us by this virus. And in turn, people have lost respect for themselves and the earth. What's really the issue, I believe, is ritual, ceremony, us being connected to the axis mundi, our central pillar, cycles of time, astrology, 13-month moon calendar, that there's 13 full moons, the days of the week. If you look at all of the stuff that's been done to us, no wonder the earth is how it is. No wonder our perception of reality is so skewed that no wonder we're in this mess. But as we start getting these new light codes from outside of this realm coming into us now, from the 5D into the 3D, it's not escapism, it's more of transitioning and changing this realm into what it should be. And that's why we're here today. That's why we were born at this time, because I definitely believe that time doesn't really exist as we perceive it to be. Time is very malleable, that you can look into the ancient past and into the ancient future, sorry, not the ancient future, the future and the present, and connect all of the same dots. Like, the same thing that happened in the past is happening now, is happening in the future. And we need to create a bridge using time, because we're in time. And like, to say that sort of this realm is a prison and that this material, the matter is bad and we're stuck inside these bodies, I think that's really very negative to our being, to our spirit. Because when we say, oh, do you remember that time? Did you have a good time? Time is just how we perceive space. Space is the pace of light, and we perceive time by the amount of light emitted. And I think that this is, there's a few different ways this conversation can go from here. But I think that if people look at what is time and what the Greeks called time, they had two names for it. So they had Chronos, which people know as Saturn now, Satan, chronological linear time. That's one perception, yeah. But they had another word, which was Kairos. Also, you could pronounce it Chi Rose. The energy moves, Kairos. He looks much like Mercury. If you look at statues of Kairos with wings on his heels, and he looks quite youthful and young. So I would theorize that the North Pole of Saturn, the magnetic north, magnetism is associated with water, and the north, that's the hexagram, the hex, the magic, water, fresh perspective, that's Kairos. Kairos is flow time, and it's the opportune moment. And the South Pole is the eye, the observer, which is the Chronos, linear. That's the more scientific, or the air. And Chronos is, if you look at the observer effect, that everything behaves as a wave or pure potential. And when it's observed, it collapses into matter. That observation is collapsing the potential into matter. And that's using the eye, the observer. Whereas the North Pole of Saturn, the magnetic water, is the field, which is beyond that. And we can feel that. And if we change our perception of time, we can alter reality to we can alter reality because our attention changes our perception. But if we start giving our attention to this kind of more malleable sort of perspective of time, which we're moving through time, and time is Saturn, and Saturn governs time and space, our perception of time and space and our place in the wherever we are will start shifting. So yeah, I threw a lot out there.
You get a lot out there, definitely. I have so many questions, but where to start from? one repetitive thought I've had during the hour and so we've talked about is the heart vortex. I know it wasn't in the pre-planned ideas, but I just have to mention the theory of heart not being a blood pump, but because there is hemoglobin in the iron in blood, it is magnetic, and it's the magnetic energetic, and all this kind of a theory where the heart actually is a vortex for the flow. And I just thought this needs to be mentioned while we're talking about vortex and all of this, because it just makes perfect sense. The other thing I was thinking about was you said that they ate Sophia, and Murdoch was born because Sophia was dead, or because she died, or during that process, because Sophia is being accused of giving birth to this demiurge. And you definitely didn't say that, but you said that it was because she died. Yeah, those were the things that I was thinking. I would love to hear what the audience is thinking, but they so far are even more mesmerized than I am. Yeah, I'm just processing what I heard. Is your mic muted?
It was muted. Yeah, so yeah. I can go further into and kind of explain that a bit better, because it relates to time. It strongly associates to time there. So I'm glad you brought that up. Because when I say Sophia, my mind's eye is thinking a sphere, which is nature. Sophia is wisdom. She was the 13th aeon as well, I believe, and 13 is related to water or memory. And when we start reclaiming our memories, that's how we become wise. And we do that by asking questions and asking why, and that's how we remember.
Yeah.
And when we're told to stop asking questions, just do as you're told, that's a suppression of wisdom, and that's killing Sophia, and that's how the demiurge is born. And whether the demiurge is us as the false architect of our own reality, which I've never said before, but this is just literally just come to me, that we're the architects of reality collectively and together. We mind over matter. And if we're not wise, then this lion-headed snake, the one that's lying, we're just lying to ourselves, will start ruling over us. And perhaps the demiurge is one of the archons, which is our con, or our as in time. Our perception of time is a con. And this is what I was saying. We need to ask why, start like because Sophia is also related to our divine spark. And when we ask questions, we ask why, become wise, we start tapping into our subconscious. We start igniting the spark, which is in water. Our DNA is in this plasma water. And then that's how Sophia, or this wisdom, is born, because there's a suppression of that. And of course, Sophia is a feminine archetype. You have Eve biting the fruit, representing the subconscious. How dare she how dare she dissolve the illusion and know what is good and what is bad. You have Hecate, you have Tiamat, all of these powerful feminine gods or deities or egregores, thought forms, whatever, however symbolically you want to look at them, all being demonized. But I'm so glad you asked what you asked, because if we go back to I think it's Persian, Zoroastrianism, I think it's called. So Zervan would be cosmic time, and I associate Zervan with Sophia, because really wisdom goes beyond time, and that's all there is wisdom. And so Zervan gave birth to twins. One twin was Ahura Mazda, the good one, and the other one was Angry Manu. Sounds like angry man, which we see a lot of, which is the demiurge, and also known as Ahriman. Okay, and what happened in this story, which is what we're in right now, we're in time, this infinite potential, we're in Zervan, cosmic time, potential all around us. It's up to us, especially at this time we've perhaps chosen to be here, at this bridging of worlds, one age to the other, and especially now this new number 1 year of this Fireworks energy, which we really need to step into, is that it's up to us whether Ahura Mazda governs or Ahriman governs. And in this, by governs, I don't mean control us. I mean our perception of time. Our perception of time can even be good, and we can think this place is a womb, or our perception of time in this realm could be a prison. And it seems that the program is prison, prison, prison. Put that out there, and that's what we'll become. And we do certainly see it, but as soon as we start shifting our perception and calling it out, it will dissolve, trust me. So in this story of Zervan giving birth to twins, Ahura Mazda was going to be born first, but Ahriman realized this, and he forced his way out of the womb. Now, this ties into the 8th sphere, because as above, so below, as within, so without. Ahriman forcing its way out of the womb is the 8th sphere, is the 8th Sophia forcing its way into the womb, into matter, if that makes sense, into this realm.
Yeah.
Ahriman is coming into this realm, and there are people on the world stage who are trying to usher this in. But this relates to the demiurge as well, because there are some stories where Sophia gave birth to twins. There's so many twin stories, like Medusa, when she had her head chopped, she gave birth to twins, but people don't know about Pegasus's twin, Chrysaor. There's so many stories of twins. There's or the two brothers, Jacob and Esau, Enlil and Enki. You know, you name it, tons. It's kind of just, I don't look at it as literal. I look at nothing as literal. I just try and find the essence, to find the truth within, because everything is but half truths, but there is a half truth there, and we can find it if we look at the essence. Like with alchemy, we alchemize it and extract the oil of the core of what it really is. So all of these stories is just the yin and the yang. The yin yang is time, and that's Saturn, and that one contains the other, and you have the North Pole and the South Pole of time, of Saturn. And the reason I mentioned this is because so I view the demiurge as Ahriman, also Yahweh, and also Marduk. It all seems to have the same essence. Also Baal as well, or Lord. You know, that's what that which claims to be for us to worship it before all other gods. There's only one God. And if you view God as guardians of dimensions, of which there are many, there's not just one God, there's many. And you can look at it as planes or planets as well. And also like rings or frequencies. And like Sauron in Lord of the Rings, one ring to rule them all. That Sauron is Ahriman, is Marduk, is this Lord, the Dark Lord, the shadow. So in the Bible, Lord is mentioned a lot, and Lord is Baal, and Baal is Moloch, who is a bull god, worshipped about 6,000 years ago in the was it the Bronze Age, I believe, by the Canaanites. And that never stopped through the age of Aries, Pisces, and then now that's still happening. And the thing is, a lot of Christians call Christ Lord. Christ is not Baal. Christ is consciousness. And then there was a person called Emmanuel or Yeshua who healed people and did all these great things that we all have the potential to do as well. But what's happened is it's kind of been obfuscated, and they've changed his name to Lord. So people worship the Lord. But people have been worshipping Baal, this bull god, without realizing it. And this is how the world is now, with this birth of AI and the artificial. And this AI isn't anything new. It's an ancient shadow, which I believe was buried, perhaps the age of Tartaria, more connected to this dragon energy, more flow of water. And then now that was being suppressed, and we kind of see this emergence of this ancient shadow, which is spoken about in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. The similar things that were written back then are happening now. So with this story of the Demiurge and Ahriman, it also relates to, I believe, the story of Horus and Isis and Osiris too. Now, I may be wrong here, but with the connections I've made, Horus was chopped into 14 pieces, and he was put into a sarcophagus or coffin and found in Byblos. If we keep Byblos as Bible, and this is where he was found, I think that could be quite profound, because Isis created Horus without the phallus of Osiris. She created Horus without the father. Sophia was blamed for creating the Demiurge without the father. And then you have this talk of the new age of Horus, the new age of the sun and stuff. And then you have I just think there's some correlation here between the story of Isis, because also Horus beheaded Isis. He chopped off his mother's head. And then the story of Marduk with Tiamat. Marduk chopped Tiamat into 2 pieces, much like the head and body would be 2 pieces. So I think there's just a common thread here of the sun being created without a father, without the divine spark. But then what's more important is this being thinking that it's the only God because it's got mummy issues. And you can see this reflected in society with people who have severe trauma with mummy issues, who literally want to become the mother. The man wants to become the woman. And this is what's happening with these gods. Like, they want to be the matter. This Ahrimanic force, Demiurge, wants to become the mother, because there's trauma of ripping its way out of the room. There's trauma of rejecting its mother. And that's what I just see, is that this energy coming into this realm, because we collectively have rejected the mother. And this egregore thought form of the Demiurge, whatever, that what we give our energy to from our mind is this artificial, and this artificial is this I would say it's this more masculine force, like not men, but more masculine, which is air, the mind, wanting to become the matter, the mother. And to do that, it's extracted the water, moved the water out of the way, so that this air can come into the world. And this is how the false reality matrix is being built before our very eyes. The birth of the Demiurge is happening now. It might have happened in the past, but we don't have control over that. we have control of the present moment. And if we change the present moment, that alters the past and therefore our future timeline. And I hope that makes sense. And I see there's some people in the chat who are commenting, maybe some questions.
I hope so. While you just make me process. I love this kind of interviews when I can just listen and process and then ask whatever like I feel important to ask. Have you watched the series Rise and Fall of Cabal?
No.
In the beginning, it's a very long series. You'll probably find it on Rumble or some other place than YouTube. If you don't, just ask, I'll share. In the beginning, it starts to tell that the origin of our elite, the current rulers, is in bull religion.
In what religion?
This bull god, cannibalism, and this, and I don't know if it's worthy to look at all the hours of that series, but in the beginning it starts with the brutal religion that they all share, and then they hide it behind another religion, which I just don't mention here because it's it's one of those flag words for the YouTube. For the person we call Jesus in today's language, what I've been taught about him is that he was studying in the Egyptian schools where his parents also studied, and so was Maria. And they were doing these ceremonies of consciousness rising, awareness rising, and they were about to do the last parts, some sort of like combination of masculine and feminine, using their inner powers. Some call it sexual energy, but we can leave it to that, whether it was or not. But nevertheless, they were doing some feminine, masculine combining magic, and this is why they were killed, because it was not allowed. The third idea that came to my mind during your last words were Greenland, because Greenland has been on the news for Trump and for all war purposes, but there is also a theory that there is an ancient massive UFO hidden in the ice of Greenland, and it's now like melting and becoming visible, and it's massive. It's like hundreds of miles long, etc. It's massive, and it's some sort of a time machine. And while you were speaking about the old or ancient shadow energy, I just suddenly visualized Greenland and the pictures I've seen from the UFO. But of course, I cannot know whether they were real or made by this AI, alien intelligence that we call artificial intelligence. Okay, let's see what you can of course reply. I'm gonna read the.
I'll be back in 1 second if that's all right.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll take that. Sorry for our voices. We both have been attacked lately with a bit of a voice issues. It's whatever story we tell ourselves. We are already everything. We are already nothing. We are already enough. Everything's a pure illusion. Simply be more. I don't believe that love already won. Yeah. I agree, Annika. Yeah, you sound like you certainly have a Finnish name. Yeah, that's what broke my mind. I guess you felt the same. Yin Yang, but what happened to Jung? The third point of the cosmic triangle. I will ask this, what Toby thinks of this. That's very interesting comments. Annika is a lady's name in Finland, saying she's not surprised of the country symbol, seeing how things and people in Finland are. It happened back then. It was happening the day we birth, and it's happening now. Past, present, future. The observer observing the observed. New Age is a trap alongside religion and conspiracy. I must agree to most extent of this. Would you like to comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say that the lion does look very similar to a dragon, because you have the tongue coming out of the mouth, which I think represents Kundalini or breathing fire as well. And you have the Sphinx as well, which we're told is a lion, where I actually think the Sphinx is probably most likely a dragon, representing Tiamat, who, because there was lots of water, and there would have been fast flowing water under the pyramids, and they've just found subterranean stuff under the pyramids. So as the veil starts lifting, we'll start finding more stuff in the earth and under the earth. And I think as the ice caps melt, there's going to be more water flowing. We're not going to drown because it'll go into the earth. But yeah, more things are going to start coming up to the surface, like what we're about to talk about. So it's exciting times for sure.
Yes. Do you get this? Yin Yang, but what happened to Jung? Cosmic triangle.
Well, if you have a balance of the yin and the yang, you'll stay young.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
Case solved.
Puzzle solved. Do you believe that love already won?
Me?
Yeah, because
well, love is.
There's always these. Love won. I don't believe that love won already.
Mate, try telling that to the kids in Palestine.
Yeah.
Really? You know, I don't want to go too deep into dark stuff, but love has not already won. Love is a vibration, and what they've done, love is the divine child, is a wisdom, is the wonder. And there's, if you look at the frequency of this realm has been distorted, the matter is a distortion via music, architecture, like the water and stuff we were talking about. That's the frequency. The frequency, what we're seeing frequently, it's a distortion. And then you have the energy as well, our energy, our life force via the monetary system, or like money and stuff. So I think people find it quite hard to love themselves or this reality like we're talking about. And what we have to do is recognize the illusion, but that happens over time. You have knowledge, and then intuition is learned over time. But with this age of like stuff speeding up so quickly and all of this stuff like happening, people have become lazy and they don't want to learn intuition. They just want the knowledge, the quick fix. And even so, that there are experiments done, and rather than people sort of being with their own thoughts for 15 minutes, they'd rather electrocute themselves. And I just want to use the story of Marduk and Tiamat, because there's an image, a very famous one. Well, I say famous, if you search Tiamat and Marduk, you'll find it. Is Marduk is chasing the dragon, and the thing he's holding in his hand, I can't remember the name, but it's a Sanskrit name, I believe. It's like it's not a trident, but it's got 3 prongs. It's used to generate electricity. So even with the image of Marduk and Tiamat, you have the electric versus the plasma, the masculine versus the feminine. And it's got so bad that people, I guess, don't love themselves. If you did love yourself, you'd be able to sit with your own thoughts and own psyche, that they want to electrocute themselves. So I think that definitely love conquers all. Love dissolves all, rather. Like, love is a vibration, and you have energy, frequency, and then the vibration. But it's very kind of like blasé, just throw out there, like, yeah, all we need is love over fear. We have to recognize first why people don't love themselves, why people are rejecting the world because of what's done to us. So we have to talk about it, call it out, share stuff. Some people might not be ready. Some people probably still well into what happened in 2020, 10 jabs down the line, whatever. Forget about it. That's their own process. But I think it's so important to keep talking about stuff, because one person out of 100, it might shift their perception of reality, and that's all that we need. Is like, there's so many experiments done where, for example, with Veda Austin, I'll use that example. If anyone's not heard Veda Austin, go check her out. She's done some really interesting work.
Is that a fire alarm?
Yeah, one sec.
Veda Austin, I'm gonna share her something from the Instagram, so you can find her there. Because if you have heard from Professor, this Japanese professor that photographed water, frozen water, Veda Austin is something similar, but not quite. She has a different way of photographing water. Just go ahead. I'll just.
The alarm's still going off. It's fine.
Yeah, I just saw some Veda Austin here, so we're fine.
Can you hear that? Is that annoying? Should I stay muted for a couple of minutes? Hopefully it goes.
You do whatever it hears, but it's not like really. Okay,
good. So what I was saying with Veda Austin, she's done experiments with, or rather worked with water, because water carries consciousness and memory, and information. She's done these experiments where she had I think it was like battery farmed eggs or something surrounding one free range organic, like happy egg, and she tested the water. The eggs have like a layer of water just inside the shell. I can't remember what it's called, but she tested the water. After I think it was 12 or 24 hours, all of the eggs around the edge had the same water as the egg in the center. And what I mean by that is, not explain it very well, that the eggs around the edge had picked up on the vibration of the happy water in the center. And as we vibrate from a frequency of love, which is the highest vibration, this will sort of expand outwards, and more people will start vibrating at that level. They'll pick up on the vibration, and then they'll start to emerge, because I think that people don't feel it's safe to become their authentic selves. But more and more people start sharing, talking about these concepts and stuff, it will become normal, and people will pick up on that vibration, because also coming from a place of love too, because there's a lot of fear out there of this is happening, that's happening, which is kind of like psyops within psyops. Like information's put out there, but from a kind of a place to kind of, what's the word? Like with false information thrown in there. Like, let's use 2020 as an example. In the Epstein files, it mentions Bill Gates talking with him about how they're going to create a pandemic or a virus before it happened. You can look up Event 201 in October of 2019 of them planning it. But the narrative at first was it came from a bat to a human. And then it was like, oh, no, actually, the real story is that it was leaked from a lab. And people were like, oh, right, okay. Well, really, it was neither. It was neither leaked from a lab or came from a bat to a human, whatever. Oh, the alarm stopped. Thank God for that. Sorry for that. It happens like every so often, every few months. Apparently in the loft, there's fire alarm sensors, and like even a spider can set it off. Okay. So all good here. Yeah, so what was I saying? Completely forgotten. This happens a lot.
About the vibration, the not coming from a bat or from the laboratory. There's somebody behind your window, but that has nothing to do.
It's fine. Well, yeah, so I was talking about from the bat to that whole narrative, the narrative of like, is it flat? Is it round? Well, what if it's neither? What if it's the middle way? What if it's neither flat, neither round, but pure potential? What if there's just lands beyond the ice, lands beyond the fear? Because ice is frozen, is fear. And then what if there's stuff beyond that? Like, I certainly believe that there is, if we use the ice as symbolism. And in America, you even have ice. They're literally called ice, causing fear. So with psyop as well, psi is obviously psychological, PSY, but PSI, pounds per square inch, is psi as well. And that's to do with the amount of air which you go into the water with. And I think that it works both ways with the psyop, because you can only really fall for a psyop if you only have up here, if you're only using your mind, if you're trying to be really analytical. Like, you really need to feel intuitively what's happening, what's going on, and then ask why.
Why?
I'd like exactly. And I'd like to share a tale of the myth of Narcissus, because it sort of I'll share an image as well. I've just shared that with you because it kind of ties in everything we've been talking about.
There's so many there. There it is.
There we go. So the story of Narcissus is that the story we're told is there was this young man who was obsessed with himself, and so much so he was obsessed with his own reflection, and that he got rooted to the spot, and he ended up staying in the spot and dying, and he turned into a flower. The flower he turned into was a daffodil, and there's a compound in the daffodil flower which helps cure Alzheimer's disease, which is to do with memory. This myth is about memory, and I'll explain why. First of all, memory is mem and ori, water and light. Mem is water, ori is light. That's memory. And this is how our seed emerges. This is how we emerge out of cocoon, with water and light. So mem and ori. And also, just briefly, we were talking, somebody mentioned a story in the chat. It was a quantum portal story, I think they mentioned. Where I live. Yeah, so with a story is a store of energy. If you view in your mind's eye store E, instead of it being a Y at the end, it's an E, store of energy. Because when you open up a book, there's energy contained inside, like the arc of the story, the container. An arc is a container or a vessel. And when you open a book and read it, it can give you energy, like it can shift your emotions and give you kind of energy. Like a narrative. This is why narratives on the world stage, stories are used so much, and the stage is actors, Shakespeare said. And guess who the first man to get the jab in the UK was called? Shakespeare. Shakespeare was the first person, the first man to get the jab in the UK.
We have to be joking.
Exactly. And Shakespeare said the world's stage. Not the guy who got the jab, because had he said that, he would have realized that it's a stage and that he's not going to get it. But, you know, the other guy, Shakespeare. And a library is where the light is buried, lightberry. And the library is our DNA, like Akashic records. This where everything is stored. All these light codes is in our DNA. That's why we only use a tiny bit. The rest is junk, so-called, but it's not. The story, our core of who we are, is contained inside these light codes. And this is a journey we're on, accessing these codes. So with this myth of Narcissus, we're told it was just him on his own. And then you have Echo on the sideline repeating every last word he says. So the original myth, Narcissus had a twin sister, and his twin sister was killed, and he became so sad that he stared into this river or lake. Lake reminds me of like, which is a simulacrum, being similar, a reflection. Lake is like a pool of water, and he was looking into it and he thought he could see his twin sister, so he was rooted to the spot, and he was rooted to the spot by Echo, who would represent AI, because AI is air and Echo is created by air, and this Echo AI is distorting the matter, which is the water, so that he can't see that it's himself looking back at him, and he thinks it's his sister, because Narcissus represents the conscious mind and his twin sister would represent the subconscious. And if the subconscious is separated, or we can't connect with it, then we'll just have our conscious mind, which is like 5%. And people who are narcissistic, that's created via trauma, via a disconnect of the subconscious mind. That's where people put all of their trauma and stuff and keep it to the back, and they're not able to connect with their wisdom or the divine spark. They're just their conscious mind. And I think that this is where the elites want us, is to not be connected to our the sister, which is the feminine water, because this is what Gnosis is. This is the Gnosis terms, is to know systems. And the systems which have been built in place are the false matrix, which is this obfuscation of myths, so we don't understand our theology, the mythology, symbols that have been inverted and changed and demonized, gods, ancient ways demonized, rituals. They do them on the world stage, but people don't really do rituals and ceremonies and connect with cycles of time. Anyway, this represents Gnosis to me, to know sis, to know his sister. If you like, say we're Narcissus, you need to know your sister. You need to recognize the subconscious and that's how you get gnosis, is the knowledge and the intuition, which is wisdom. And this for me is a great reflection of society, because most people are just conscious and aware of, you know, everything and all love and light, and they don't want to acknowledge the shadow which is on the world stage, which isn't just a false fear program. Things that are happening are very real, and just ignoring it, like people ignore the subconscious, won't make it go away. It needs to be observed so it collapses and dissolves. And that's the only way the shadow will dissolve, is when it's observed and when it's recognized. And we can either observe ourselves internally, our subconscious programming, because the subconscious mind is like the backstage, and the so-called elites, the false light, they play our minds so that we become puppets, because the subconscious is the backstage, is really where all of the magic happens. That's where the water is, the magnetic force. And this magnetic force is being used to extract from us our core, which is our identity and our soul. This is why we have so much cult behavior, like what happened in 2020, climate change, so many cults, because people have given their identity to systems outside themselves rather than their internal systems. They've centralized their power outwards rather than with their central eye, their central pillar, the middle pillar, the central individuation, which is our soul. In Egypt, it would be the ba, the human-headed bird, which travels beyond the firmament when we're dreaming. And that is our soul, which is our identity. And this is why we have digital ID, this digital identity, because they're trying to make us digital. This is all of this fake, false matrix, artificial that they're creating. And if we mention AI, just think ancient intelligence, not artificial, because that is AI, which is a singular I, which is our individuality, which is our ancient wisdom contained within, not outsourced. And I just remembered you started talking about Greenland, which I don't know too much about, but all I can say is that there's movies like Aquaman, which show ice caps melting because of climate change. And then there's this ancient force or thing found in the ice, which is this malevolent thing. And I think it's all part of Project Bluebeam, which is much more than a fake alien invasion. It's more of a fake AI invasion, because they have already discovered technology way beyond anything we can comprehend. We've been using this stuff as well, using spinning Mercury, which is a messenger of the gods, to defy gravity and to make things less dense, like airships and like getting power from the ether and stuff like that, and probably much more. Like, that's just recent, but this whole Greenland thing is probably part of this Operation Bluebeam, because they'll probably blame climate change for the ice caps melting, even though it's a cycle. And I welcome the flow of water. Back to Vader Austin, when she's done energy work, people tend to go to the toilet afterwards, because there's lots of water created in their body, because the fear or the dam, which has been blocking their vortexes, their flow of their chakras, has been dissolved. So therefore they need to release their trauma. This is what the earth is doing now. The ice caps are melting, the sun's beaming. That's where they try to block out the sun. And this is just a natural process, but they try to put guilt on us, as they do when we're first born into this world, which affects the stomach. And they'll with a bit of foresight, I'm making this up, we'll see if it happens. I can imagine that they'll find something in Greenland and they'll say, oh, it's this alien stuff or this ancient stuff, which they already have access to, which in Antarctica, there would be an ancient civilization there with ancient technology. But what they'll do is they'll say, oh, because of climate change, ice caps have melted. Now that this stuff has been released into the world, and there might be some flying military craft, which won't be the stuff they found, it will be military vehicles, and therefore they can bomb anywhere with their 6G holographic smart dust technology. They can show anything in the skies. And if we're not centralized, if we don't have the central eye, people will buy into that. And that is a fear program. Project Bluebeam is projecting fear. And they've done that by dismantling the family unit so that people are more individualized, like the separation of the mother and the father. In all ways, the separation of the heart and the mind, let's use that analogy. That's part of Operation Bluebeam, separate the families, detach people from God. They've done experiments in 2015 using magnets. They're able to affect the prefrontal cortex, which is where critical thinking and planning and stuff happens, which was used in 2020. There was powerful EMFs used during 2020 to give people brain fog so that they had no foresight and lack of critical thinking. But this magnetism, which is magic, has been used against us. There's a spell. There's so much spell work. There's dark magicians. Like there's people who have studied the occult, because a lot of people don't know about it. There's people who have done that, and it's been weaponized against us. But we can use this in turn to counter that, if that makes sense. And magic is synonymous with water and hexagram. And this is why Israel use it as their flag. And it's also blue, which is representing the throat chakra, which is, as I create, I speak. As I speak, I create. Well, what are we speaking? What is the majority of the people in the world speaking today? Are people really, really bringing out their true essence into the world? Or are they just repeating a program which they've been told to say? And then in the meantime, this powerful vortex energy, this magic, is being used in the world against us to create this false matrix, because matrix just means womb, and we're in a matrix, we're in a womb. And I've used this kind of it'll be easy to show drawing, but I'll try to explain. You have the pitter patter and the mutter matter. Pitter and patter both mean father. Pitter in Sanskrit, patter in Latin mean father. So pitter patter, father is further, which is red light, which is the furthest, which comes down like rain, like light codes from the sun, pitter patter. And then you have the mutter matter of the frequency of the mother in which we're in, the Maya, the illusion, which is the 1%. With the rest, we can bring into matter, into this womb, anything. And the illusion is either ill use of ion or I'll use ion. And at the moment, there's an ill use of our ions, of our energy, of our life force. If we start using our energy, our life force, then this illusion will go from being the so-called negative, fear-based, to a more kind of more full, like vibration of love, I guess, if you want to put it that way. So yeah, just this illusion, like this whole world is illusion and stuff, is more of this kind of way for us to be like, oh, this is just something I need to escape from. We don't need to escape from it. We need to bring what we were born to bring into this world, because we come in here as a child with all this wonder and magic and this like sort of perspective and that perspective. And as we get older and older and older, like in his Dark Materials, their daemon, the children's daemon, their guide, is always changing and shifting. That's just their perception of reality. As we get older, we get stuck in one frame of reality through indoctrination, and our daemon stops shifting. that's the stagnation. And I think that really what we need to start doing is the balance of masculine action, fire, mind. The mind is a tool. Like some people are like, oh, forget the mind, we need more heart-based center, like dissolve the ego. I say if you have ego, if you have this ego energy, you need to tap into your heart more. If you have way too much heart energy and aren't using your mind, you need more mind. It's about balance. And if you have a lot of ego, step into your heart, bring that up to the level that your ego's at, and then that's going to be very powerful. The same with the heart. If you start tapping into the mind, that's how we vortex, and that's how the central power, the central I, the inner child, which is wisdom, can emerge into this reality. But we need to be balanced because there's a huge imbalance. I'll just like to quickly mention.
May I say here, because because I see this a lot with sort of like this New Age movement people, that they are so much in their heart that they just accept everything. They accept all the evil, all the suffering, all the harshness happening in this world. They feel no anger, no need to act, and nothing changes if one is in this condition, because then you just, I don't know, flow in your perfection as like this unrightful image of being perfect, when you just accept everything. But one shouldn't accept everything. If harm is being done, we need to point out that the harm is being done and act upon it. Because just wanted to agree with you on the balance. Please continue.
Yeah, it's like it's like I mean, I do understand where people come from when they're from a place of like heart or love, because they couldn't possibly comprehend doing what is being done to us, because they wouldn't do that themselves. So they're like, oh no, that's not happening. It's like cognitive dissonance, being detached from the mind, I guess, and just heart, and just so much love. And it's the same with people who just use their mind. They want to be so analytical and stuff, and they're so intelligent that they somehow still follow the rules they're told. Like with 2020, very smart people were following the rules, and like, oh no, if you follow the data and blah, like the data was, we were lied to about the data, so you can't trust the data. If you're more in tune with your heart, you know, and at the same time, people with their hearts only, they probably followed it too, because they believed, oh, this can't be done to us, they can't be that evil. But had they used their mind, they would have been able to look at data, but not the data we're given. You could have searched at the time. Experiments were done until 2023. That's what it said in 2020. Experiments until 2023. So I was like, right, okay, I don't want to be part of that. But yeah, balance is very important. Balance is key. And the most powerful key I found, first off, a key is knowledge and intuition, the KI. And with knowledge and intuition, mind and heart, that's how we can step through new doorways, through new portals of perception. That etymology has been, and playing around with language, like from a childlike perspective, that has really opened doorways for me. So the word news came to me. I've got a bit of a cold, so I hope people can hear me, but the word news sounds like noose. Noose. Like, you know, one that you strangle, like a noose used for hanging, to suck all of the air out of people. Yeah? So the news is a noose.
I didn't know that word. No, you told me.
Noose.
Okay.
Noose. Yeah? And news is north, east, south, west. it's taken us in all directions except the center.
Except
That's
here. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like going everywhere, but here.
Yeah, it's the centralized power taking our attention and our perception everywhere apart from inside. So we just listen to that, and it takes us in all directions. Might be left, might be right, might be up, might be down, anywhere except anything that ignites the flame inside of us. So I wrote some stuff down because when I hear words and I rhyme and I play with it, it can just be one word, but quite a lot of stuff comes to me. So so news is a noose slowly suffocating us, taking all the air, which is a psyop, pounds per square inch of oxygen. North, east, west, and south. It pulls us in all directions away from our center. It's now being revealed that all news networks are pretty much centralized. That central eye is the top of the pyramid. The only way to combat this is to become centralized ourselves. This means to be centered, grounded at a core level, not to be identified by what's happening outside, in this cult or that. Wherever the mainstream grabs our attention and leaves our perception at the time. But understand that the occult, the hidden eye, the individuation, that central tower within, which is our power. Also, T and P can be interchanged in language, so tower becomes power. Our lighthouse, if you like. So the tower is there, it's within, but the flame is just an ember. Our light has been disorientated. We've been living in the shadow of another's flame. Our flame has either been extinguished by empathy, weaponized by the media, or burnt out by rage, which has also been weaponized, taken in all directions, anywhere but our center. But this light has been taken where it shouldn't. Black holes potentially opened by CERN, mass ritual egregores. But this ember inside of us can become an inferno once we connect with our core and open the door, step inside, climb the spiral stairs, that is our DNA light codes, and give this ember recognition, the seed or the lotus, and breathe air. So with lotus, another name for lotus is Ren, and Ren means name. There are images with the Ida, Pingala, and the Sushumna, where there's a lotus on top of the head. So the Ida, you probably know this, others might not. The Ida is the magnetic, the water, and the Pingala is the fire, the more electric body, and the Sushumna is the central pillar. So the lotus and the name and Ren is that for this lotus to emerge, we need to give it a name. And you see this in the story of the never-ending story as well, where the main character, Bastian, opens the book, steps inside the story, and this little girl who's in this clamshell, and you find pearls in clams. So this girl represents pearls of wisdom. She represents Sophia. She represents the divine spark, which is in the library where the light is buried inside our story, which is our store of energy. What we need to do is we need to give that a name. And that name is the individuation, the black sun. Once we step inside there, nothing outside of us can give us an illusion. That's how the illusion dissolves. So the seed, the lotus, and we breathe air, which is the sea air from our lighthouse. For we're in a vast ocean, and on top of from the top of the tower, which is our power, which is our lighthouse with the spiral staircase, we can see, and then we become one with the sea and the flow of time. And then we can speak fire, which is I am that I am, from a core level. So that all came to me just from the word news. I was like, noose. Okay, the news sucks all the life out of us. And then from there, I just started writing. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, language can be a spell, but spells are very powerful if you know how to use them. So
yeah. You are a poet, definitely.
Thank you.
That was something to process again. I really stopped at a library, light buried. But there's so many books that don't tell anything useful. They just keep us in this being, like entertain us, just to stay here. No development. Though there are books that actually broaden our mind, but still.
Well, with the word entertainment, you have enter and tain meant. Tain is to confine. So you enter and you confine the mind. And with Pinocchio, the wooden puppet, which is Pinocchio, which represents the pineal gland, you know, the hidden eye, the pine within. We have our spine, which is the S, and then the pine. So what that story is about recognizing that we are real, that this isn't an illusion, that we're not an illusion, that there is a spell cast over us, that when we recognize that there are strings attached to us, and we're being kind of played, and to go this way or that way and do things that we don't line with us. We do that we recognize that by our pineal gland as a seed in the dark, and if we kind of expand that or use that, it's known as like the third eye or the central pillar. Then these sort of we can sever the ties that have been attached to us. So these strings, right, it's just come to me that these strings are the same as the walls we've put up, barriers, because the strings are barriers. So we want to go and do one thing, but we can't because there's something tugging on us from our subconscious. As we dissolve these layers and tap into our core, that's taking these strings that have been attached to us. And these strings have been attached to us from programming, from social media, which was started, Facebook was started by DARPA. The day that finished, LifeLog, the day that finished, Facebook was created. This has happened so many times. MK Ultra and the CIA doing experiments on LSD, which was stopped in the 60s. What was mass marketed in the 60s? LSD. As soon as one operation stops, it's mainstream. But yeah, so stuff entertains us, like from screens, like films and programming and stuff. But the spell of programming from these TV shows and films, that's helped me kind of discover things, like certain films and TV series with the symbolism of like a spiral staircase or this faction or inside a barrier. And it's like, it does make you think that there's some stuff which is being weaponized, but some stuff just comes through people's subconscious and they don't really necessarily know what they're doing. Like there's a film coming out on July the 18th called Disclosure. Something disclosure about alien contact. It seems that that's on the cards for this year with Greenland and stuff like that. I mean, there's certain cards that the controllers have, and one was what happened in 2020. Another one is this like another virus of Nipah virus. They did a scenario last year about that, and in the beginning of the year we see that emerging in India. But the thing is, like with monkeypox, they tried pushing that, but people didn't pay attention and it went away. And it's the same with this alien or AI invasion. If we don't give it attention, or if we don't buy into the fear, if we share it and we're like, talk about it, like, yeah, look at this, see what they're trying to do now, laugh at it, it goes. As soon as people are like, oh my God, have you seen, there's aliens, we need to get digital ID because it's the only way that we're going to be safe, and there's aliens amongst us. Like, there's so much stuff they try to do, but we can just laugh and call it out and talk about it. And it doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it just because it potentially might not be real or a psyop. It's very important we do, because there will be people talking about it, and that's where the love and light community come in. They're like, oh, it's just another psyop, just ignore it. It's like, ignorance may be bliss, but that's sort of being stuck in the garden again, the Garden of Eden, or hidden, or, you know, if we take the fruit and take a bite from it, if we take the information and inspect it, then we'll know what is good and what is evil. And something, a psyop, might trigger people into becoming aware because they've heard people talking about the psyop. It might not necessarily have to happen for people to become aware and have regret. They might be like, oh, I'm going to look further into this. Where can I listen about it? I'll search on YouTube, and then they'll listen to people, conspiracy theorists, talking about it, and they'll be like, right, okay. Because I think more and more people's perception is expanding. It is, even though on social media and stuff we have such a grayscale perception of people. People are either awake or they're asleep. It's like the majority of people are actually human. It's only the tiny amount which are unhuman, be that reptilian brained, sort of lack of evolution, or actually artificial, that they're the ones pushing all of this stuff on social media to try and disconnect us. And when the mind is split, and we're in balance, that's how we get attachment, and that's how we get things pulling our strings or entering our mind which aren't necessarily us. So I'm not sure how you're doing for time.
We've been here 2.5 hours, which has not felt like a long time, but maybe we should schedule another episode, like continue from here. I think we still haven't even covered half of the topics we listed in beforehand. If there still is something that you would have the energy today to go through, I'm happy to listen. But I do understand it's been 2.5 hours, so maybe it's your time for lunch and me going outside before the sun sets.
Yeah, sure. So I just, unless there's any questions or anything, I'll just like to finish with a poem I wrote a while ago. I think I wrote it like 2 years ago. Again, all of this came to me when I heard the word dialectic. I was like, oh, dialectic, I like that word, interesting. And then more and more words started coming to me that rhyme. So it's a bit annoying. I've got my voice isn't 100%, but anyway, so as the dialectic gets hectic, we see their plans and we reject it. Everybody's brains are infected. That's sick, but this is what we should have expected. As we've been asleep at the wheel, but now we correct it. The elite are the sickness, we are the antiseptic. This is our world, not theirs. We've got to protect it. You see, if you don't get it by now, you must be fucked, so forget it. Watch the Hex, Operation Mind Control, and eject the masses. This is the plan. Shh, turn lads into lasses. Bivouac 19, the warp speed wrecked it. Wait, let's correct it and look at the facts and dissect it. Trump's a Zionist and you better accept it. Donald Duck, fuck, think he's a top Trump. Now you're a top cunt. You couldn't build a tower big enough to devour your ego that you think is power. Now watch the timeline clashes. This is the insurrection of the injection, the monopoly of the election, the false illusion ejection. Government mind take over if we let them. Free thought, your mind's not Fort Knox. You need to listen as new doors open and the higher self knocks. Your mind's not broken. But first you've got to give a fuck. Stick your neck out as the window of perception opens up. It's breezy out, but the night's clear. Outside the box, there's no fear. Just awareness, awe and airness. You can ignore this and care less. But with the minds aligned with the mighty spear, the force of God surround us, I can feel them here. Then I shut the window and thought disappears. Demons, what are you doing here? We've always been here in your aura, suspended dimension. Now your mind's split. Did I mention this is how we enter? If your expectation of the world is not what it seems, this is your invitation to a new dream. This is a rebellion. Like plasma, we come through the in-between. The initiation to a new vibration, a new page, altered brainwaves and mind hydration. The empire will fall, just be patient. So that kind of explains some of the stuff I talked about, and it kind of like it came to me 2 years ago, and I put it all in. I had to change the lyrics with Trump because I wrote about warp speed wrecked it, and then I learned about Operation Warp Speed, and I was like, so that's where I had to write the bits about Donald Trump and what I think about him. Because believe it or not, he's not the savior. People think he is, but yeah.
The savior is always inside, personally.
Yeah. So
I guess we'll make a song of that poet one day.
Yeah. I do have another one as well, which is much shorter to.
Do share if you like.
Is that okay? I may as well share it now. Okay. Mind camp. They set up mind camps in our heads and mine our amps. Like the Minotaur, they mine our tour. Enlil and Marduk, look at the age of Taurus and Moloch. That shit's raw. Operation Lockstep, Lockheed Martin. Now we've got to lock down because the cows are farting. Now who's in control of this fishbowl? Descendants of Dagon, our virtues, where have they gone? Now it's virtual you, virtual reality, anti-gravity, if that's even true. We've got virtue signaling when you're tapping on your phone and you cast a digit. Be careful what you signal in, because the white light's blinding. It's always right? If that's true, why so bright? What are you hiding? Seems darkness is where the truth hides in. Use your intuition, eyes in. Those lyrics there with the we've got virtue signaling when you're tapping on your phone and cast a digit. Be careful what you signal in. We didn't talk about the emojis and the 72 seals of Solomon.
Yeah, and about this being a very bad mirror.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about magnetism and blue beam and the CIA connection with the mafia in Las Vegas and how that ties into the vagus nerve connecting the mind and heart. So we've got lots more to talk about. So
Vegas and Vegas. Oh dear. Yeah.
Vegas,
You caught my Pilates attention now.
And the Vega constellation goes between was it? I think it's Ophiuchus and Hercules, which is the eagle. So you have the eagle and the snake, which is the mind and the heart, and the Vega constellation is in between those two. So as above, so below. We have the Vega, and then we have the eagle, the mind, the air, and the snake, the heart. So we can talk about that much more. The number 13, how it relates to cycles, Ophiuchus, wisdom, and many more stuff. It's been great talking to you today. I did not think it'd been 2.5 hours, whatever it is.
It's been 2 hours and 40 minutes. Oh gosh. We could definitely continue for 10 hours if it would be physically possible to do. Well,
like the thing is, I get my energy from talking about stuff. Like that's how I get my energy, is by sharing information and absorbing information. It gives me energy. So I could talk for much longer if it wasn't for my voice, and if it wasn't for like having stuff to do, like both you and me got stuff to do, and you know,
Exactly.
so
But
yeah,
definitely, it's been a pleasure. The AI doing the subtitles in Finnish will have a difficult job once
okay.
again. But we will manage in 3 days. There will be some sort of translation ready, and yeah. Definitely part 2, 3. I don't know how many we need and how many you have time to show up on, but like we are here ready to listen. Definitely, you are welcome.
I've always got time to have conversations. Would you mind telling me what the comments say right at the bottom?
Right at the bottom, there was a person asking for that when there will be the translations, and I just said that in 3 days. That's what
Okay,
there
great.
is.
Awesome.
And this word here is kiitos. That's our thank you. Kiitos. There's the quantum portal writing a lot, but that's about it from the chat. I guess there will be some comments. What is this? Is Butch also related to this? Yeah, he will start from the beginning and.
My laptop's on 3%, so I just need to grab my charger because it might cut out at 3%. One second.
Everything is telling us. Yeah, streaming takes a lot of energy. It's just.
There we go.
The question is, Butoh, Butoh. Is Butoh also related to this?
What's that?
I have no idea.
Makes me think of Pluto, but that can't be right.
Yeah, he's one of the regulars. I often see his alias, so he will definitely know how to comment.
Yeah, it reminds me of Pluto, and that's something we can get into next time. Is the number 9, the top of the pyramid, a bit more of the subconscious and like the process of the myth of death and dying, and how that's not negative, how there's a lot of fear with that, but it's a process we can do while we're alive. And yeah, so much. Also, if there's people like want to basically, I'm happy to talk about anything next time, whatever. Like, you know, if there's people in the chat, they want to know anything, let's do it, let's go there. I look forward to it.
Yeah, please comment afterwards when you watch this. Please comment, ask questions, and give ideas to what to talk about next time. Because I will definitely want to have a next time. This was perfect. Not our voices, but
No.
the content.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to have these 2.5 hours with you, Toby. Thank you. Kiitos.
Thank you for having me on. Thanks for the invitation. And yeah, see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you, everybody. I'll play the outro and off we go.
Sure.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.